Saudi Arabia allowing the armies of the United States and Israel to use its territory or military facilities would be a decision shaped by complex political, strategic, and security considerations. In a hypothetical geopolitical scenario, the leadership of Saudi Arabia might justify such cooperation as part of a broader effort to maintain regional stability and protect its national interests. The Middle East has long been an area of intense rivalry and security concerns, especially involving Iran, whose growing missile technology and regional influence have worried many neighboring countries. Saudi leaders could argue that allowing allied forces access to certain locations strengthens collective defense and sends a strong signal that any threat to the region will be met with a coordinated response. For Saudi Arabia, partnerships with powerful allies have historically been a way to balance regional power and ensure its own security in an unpredictable environment. Another important factor behind such a decision would be the long-standing strategic relationship between Saudi Arabia and the United States. For decades, both countries have cooperated on military, economic, and intelligence matters. From Saudi Arabia's perspective, maintaining close ties with Washington helps guarantee advanced defense technology, military training, and diplomatic backing on the international stage. In return, the United States values Saudi Arabia as a key partner in the Middle East due to its geographic position, energy resources, and influence in the Muslim world. In this context, providing locations or logistical support for allied forces could be presented as part of a broader defense agreement aimed at protecting trade routes, energy infrastructure, and regional allies. The involvement of Israel in such cooperation would be even more sensitive and controversial, because historically relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel were distant and often tense. However, in recent years there has been increasing discussion about potential normalization and quiet cooperation between some Arab states and Israel due to shared security concerns. If Saudi Arabia were to allow Israeli military presence in coordination with the United States, leaders might frame it as a pragmatic step focused on confronting mutual threats rather than ideological differences. They might argue that the region's security challenges such as missile proliferation, cyber warfare, and militant groups require cooperation among countries that have the capability to respond quickly and effectively. Domestic and regional reactions would likely be mixed. Within Saudi Arabia and across the wider Middle East, some people might strongly oppose the presence of foreign troops, especially Israeli forces, viewing it as a violation of sovereignty or a betrayal of long-standing political positions. Governments in other countries might criticize the move and warn that it could escalate tensions rather than reduce them. On the other hand, supporters of the decision might argue that modern security threats cannot be handled by one country alone and that partnerships with technologically advanced militaries can deter potential aggression. Saudi officials might emphasize that any cooperation is limited, strategic, and focused purely on defense rather than offensive operations. Economics and global energy markets could also play a role in such a decision. Saudi Arabia is one of the world's most important oil producers, and instability in the Gulf region can disrupt global energy supplies. By strengthening military cooperation with powerful allies, Saudi leaders might believe they are protecting vital shipping lanes and all facilities from attacks or sabotage. The presence of allied forces could act as a deterrent against any attempt to threaten energy infrastructure, which would not only harm Saudi Arabia, but also impact global markets and many economies that rely on stable energy supplies. Finally, the broader geopolitical context would shape how this decision is explained to the world. Leaders might frame the cooperation as part of a defensive coalition designed to prevent conflict rather than provoke it. Diplomatic statements would likely stress that the goal is stability, deterrence, and protection of international trade routes. However, critics might argue that bringing multiple powerful militaries into one region increases the risk of confrontation and could deepen existing rivalries. In the end, the debate would highlight the complicated nature of Middle Eastern politics, where security concerns, alliances, public opinion, and global power competition all intersect. Whether viewed as a strategic necessity or a controversial gamble, such a decision would reflect the difficult choices countries face when trying to balance national security with regional stability.